With the 4th of July festivities and fireworks behind us, in addition to it being the nation's birthday, it's my birthday. When I was a small boy, my mother used to tell me that the fireworks were all for me. You can imagine my disappointment when I discovered that wasn't true. Anyway, with the festivities over, I have time to offer a rebuttal to Veritas 48's excellent response videos. By the way, Veritas 48, if you want to hook someone up with that awesome-sounding X-Ray Vision lottery ticket reader you talked about, just let me know. On to the serious business of the relationship between faith and reason, or, to paraphrase Tertullian's famous query, what, if anything, does Jerusalem have to do with Athens? First, it seems important to clarify what I'm not saying. Several times in Veritas 48's response videos, he insists that Christian faith, or biblical faith as he calls it, is not blind faith. As I understand the term blind faith, it refers to foolish, childish, or even irrational belief. Some atheists present their critique of Christianity in those terms, but I don't. It seems to me that the brush of that critique is just too broad. Its counterpart on the theist side of the debate relies on passages such as Psalm 53:1. The fool says in his or her heart, there is no God, they are corrupt, their ways are vile. When I contend that faith is not grounded in reason, I'm not saying it's inherently irrational, foolish, or childish. While I would agree that the irrationality critique is properly targeted at certain religious beliefs, specific moments, so to speak, it goes too far as a per se critique. My general contention is different. It is that the Bible grounds faith in divine revelation, not reason. Second, let's return to Hebrews, specifically the first verse of Hebrews 11, which presents the quintessential New Testament definition of faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When the writer says that faith is the substance of things hoped for, what is he getting at? The Greek word translated substance is hypostasis, a major word in Christian theology. One of the meanings of hypostasis is the nature of a person or thing, its substantial or foundational quality. So, for example, Christian theology speaks of the hypostatic union, the proposition that Jesus had two natures, one divine, the other human. The natures were united but not confused, so Jesus is said to have been both fully human and fully divine. This is the word used in Hebrews 1:3, where the writer describes Jesus as the exact representation of God's nature, God's hypostasis. In the Bible, hypostasis can also refer to what one might call foundational resolution or confidence. This seems to be the minority report vis-a-vis hypostasis, but see, for example, 2 Corinthians 11:17. What I am not saying as the Lord would, but as in foolishness, in this confidence of boasting. In my humble opinion, it would make a lot more sense to translate this as the nature of boasting rather than the confidence of boasting, but no one asked me. In any case, the relevant point for this discussion is that the writer to the Hebrews characterizes faith as the nature or foundational conviction of what the Christian hopes for or trusts for. The writer to the Hebrews goes on, faith is the evidence of things not seen, the proof or conviction of what the believer cannot see. On what does this faith rest? What is its grounding? Paul tells us in 1 Corinthians 2:5 that it's the power of God. The power of God, which is, Paul continues, revealed to us by the Spirit. So as I showed in my previous video, but I've got to get back to it, the New Testament is describing the basis of faith, the grounding of faith, as revelation. God has revealed his power by the Spirit, and it is on this that the Christian's faith rests. Notice Paul's description of how one apprehends and comprehends God's revelation. In 1 Corinthians 2:14, Paul declares that the things of the Spirit of God are spiritually discerned. It's not by reason, it's by spiritual discernment. The word translated discerned there is the same word used in Acts 17:11, which praises the Bereans as being, quote, of more noble character than the Thessalonians, unquote, because they examined the scriptures every day to see if what Paul said was true. They're praised for turning to what is believed to be the revelation of God written down, the Scriptures. The things of the Spirit are spiritually discerned. In my last video, I noted how Paul had defined his mission, 1 Corinthians 1:17, to preach the gospel, but not with wisdom of words. I noted that the word translated wisdom is the Greek word Sophia, which connotes knowledge, wisdom, and reason. In his response video, Veritas48 took issue with this and said,
it's important to develop a hermeneutic that engrosses the meta-narrative of the writer. For example, if I grant you that text from Paul, how do you explain this passage given the plethora of passages where Paul actually uses words of wisdom?
Okay, 2 points in response to this. First, I don't define Paul's mission for him. He did that according to what he believed Jesus wanted him to do, and he said Jesus sent him to preach the gospel, but not with wisdom of words. 1 Corinthians 1:17. It is curious indeed that Veritas48 would suggest that his purported meta-narrative embracing hermeneutic, there's a mouthful, should be substituted for the way Paul himself defined what he believed Christ had called him to do. Second, in none of the passages from the book of Acts that Veritas48 cited, and he did cite a plethora, is the word Sophia used in reference to what Paul did. I'll go down the list. Acts 17:2, which talks about Paul reasoning with the Jews. The word that is translated reasoned is the Greek word dialogomai, which refers to conversation, discussion, or dialogue. The English word dialogue comes to us from that Greek word. And what was the basis of their dialogue? Paul reasoned with them from the Scriptures. Revelation, not reason. Acts 17:17, same word. Paul was dialoguing. Acts 18:4, same word. Dialoguing. Acts 18:13 uses the Greek word for incite. Paul is accused of inciting people to worship God in the wrong way. Acts 18:19, same word about dialoguing. 19:8, same word about dialogue. 19:9, same word about dialogue. 19:26, Demetrius, the Ephesian silversmith, charges that Paul has been persuading people that idols aren't really gods. He's not charging Paul with using Sophia, wisdom, reason. Besides, that whole thing ended up in a big old riot. Hardly reasonable. In sum, it's not my contention that Paul refrained from speaking with people and from entering into dialogues with others. Clearly, he spoke with a lot of people. But nowhere do any of the descriptions of this conflict with how Paul describes the mission he believed he had received from Jesus, to preach the gospel, but not with wisdom of words. The fact that Christian faith is grounded in revelation, not reason, does not exclude factual claims, or purported factual claims as part of Christianity. Every religion makes factual claims. Christianity is no exception. For example, Jesus was born is a factual claim. Jesus had a ministry that lasted approximately 3 years. A factual claim. Things got ugly at some point. A factual claim. Jesus was brutally executed by Roman crucifixion, and he died. Factual claim. And of course there's the mother of all Christian factual claims, namely that Jesus rose from the dead. In the next part of this surrebuttal, part 3, if you will, I will be discussing how these fact claims fit in the relationship between faith and reason. By the way, this picture has nothing to do with any of it, but how often does one get to see a picture of a pope typing?